All right, what's going on? So I hope you all had a great long weekend, and hopefully everyone's safe. Over here, we really didn't have too many issues. I live in Marietta, so the weather wasn't too bad. It wasn't as bad as they predicted initially. So I hope that's the case for everyone. Before we get started, I did want to say make sure you have all your assignments turned in. I'm still finishing up grades from last week, so I'll be working on that for the next couple days. But check your grades within the next couple days, and they should be updated. And I think that might be it. Also, if you have not done your test yet, I know there's a couple people who still need to make up the test. You'll be doing that tomorrow, which is Monday. And so after that point, it'll have to be a zero. So hopefully nobody else has to make up any tests or anything like that. But all right, this week we're actually going to be working on vocal runs and how to actually mix vocal runs. So I have one for you. So it's not that you'll be singing. Let me clarify. You won't actually be singing, but I have pre-made vocal samples that you all will be working with, and you'll actually have to create a chord progression for those samples. And then also you will be adding effects. I'll show you how to use a delay, and I'll show you how to use pitch manipulation as well. And so those are the two. I think those are the two. And we might do some reverb as well, just depending on how involved it is. So at this point, you can probably tell that what we're doing is we're building on the knowledge that we've already learned, right? So there's certain things, like if you haven't learned how to do them, like if you haven't learned how to add an effect, that's something you need to know how to do, because I'm going to be moving a little bit quicker. If you don't know how to, put a sample in a sampler, or sample a song or a run or a note in a sampler, that's something you're going to want to know how to do, because things will be speeding up a lot more. So, all right, so let's take a listen to this sample. This is dry. This is just a dry male vocal, and so here we go. All right. Initially, you may have heard a double. Just for a quick second, I actually had my settings a little wacky, so I adjusted it in the middle. So at this point, you should only hear just one vocal. So all right, so that's the vocal we're working with, and so first thing we're going to do is we are going to add an effects chain. So we're going to click over here in effects. And the first thing I always like to start off with is EQ. So go ahead and type in EQ. And for me personally, I really like this visual EQ, because you get to see exactly what's going on. So when you open it up, you can actually see what's going on. So the first thing I see is there's a lot of maybe floor noise, or there's a lot of noise like in this 20 hertz area that really we don't need. So the first thing, so I would just run a filter, a pass filter. You don't want to go too far, right? Because then you lose everything. But right there, you can barely tell the difference. So I would say probably around I would say 70 to 80K, maybe even push it up to 100, whatever you like. So yeah, I would run that right there. And I think right now, that's all I'll do. So that's enough for the EQ. The next thing I wanted to show you is is a delay. And there's a few different delays in Soundtrap. And I'll show you what delay sounds like. So this is just a basic delay. Right, so that's one delay. And so it has basic features on it where you can do like a low cut and a high cut. So you're only getting the low frequencies of the delay. And then you can do a mix. So this is only the delay effect. And this is a mix of the dry vocal and the delay. So a lot of times you'll want to mix it in. And this is, whenever you hear someone talk about parallel processing, this is a form of parallel processing. So basically you're taking one dry vocal and then you're mixing it in with a processed vocal as well. So if you ever hear the term like maybe parallel compression or parallel compressing, this is a form of that. So that's one type of delay. This is just their general delay. Let's see what other delays they have. They have modulation delay. That probably won't be fitting for this, but we'll just see what it sounds like. Actually, I stand corrected. That sounds really good. So it has a lot of different effects. So you can add the stereo width. So basically with the stereo width, you can see it, you can hear it more in each ear. So stereo means two areas. So both ears. So let's see what modulation does. Okay, so we have that. We have feedback. That's how many times it's looping. If you turn it all the way up, it'll just you'll get a feedback loop. So you don't want your feedback up too much. Brightness. Okay, so that gives it a little bit of clarity. So that may be something you want or don't want. Time is basically how fast do you want the delay to come back. So the higher the time, the slower the delay effect. If you have it at a shorter time, it's basically gonna delay quicker. So it's gonna come back around quicker, right? So we have that. Let's see. Now I'm probably gonna use the stereo delay. Oh, and for those of you who, so slapback is pretty cool because basically it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a slapback delay. It comes right back at you really, really quick. So it almost sounds like they're in a box. So you hear this a lot in like pop music, alternative style music. If you turn it all the way up, it just sounds like it literally slaps right back. So yeah, that's a pretty simple delay. So I'm going to use the stereo delay. And the reason I love stereo delay is because you can hear it in both ears. So you hear the dry vocal in the center. So you hear what the actual vocal is like right in the center in both ears, and then you hear the delays on both sides. So it's a pretty cool effect. I like it the way it is. So let me just mess around with some things. Nope, there's not a whole lot I would change. Yep, I love that. All right, so another effect I want to use today is the pitch shifter. And I may actually want to put that in the vocal chain before the delay. So I'm going to go ahead and add that beforehand. The order in which you put these, it actually does matter because it actually does it right in order. So first you want the EQ, and then you want the pitch shifter, and then you'll probably want the stereo delay. You all can mess around with it, see which one you want, but that's how I like my vocal chain typically. All right, so let's listen to it. So you can see it already shifted the vocal. So 0 is the original vocal. Now the formant, this is really interesting. Basically the formant, it actually manipulates the actual audio signal, so it can make it sound, it keeps the pitches the same, but it gives the effect of maybe like a female vocal versus a male vocal. So it actually manipulates some of the frequencies within that whole range to accentuate certain frequencies. So I can just show you, and you can kind of tell what it does. So you can kind of hear, but I'm just going to keep it at 0 or around 0 for right now. All right. And so what I do want to do is I want to show you how to pitch. A lot of times the effects that you hear in a lot of pop music now is you hear like these doubling of vocals of octaves. So whenever you hear the word octave, you hear oct, which means 8. So it's basically the same pitch. It's just an octave above. But in the music technology world, instead of 8, it's usually going to be, it's the equivalent of 12 semitones. So if you go up 12 semitones or down 12 semitones, that will give you like a full octave. So here's what an octave above sounds like without it mixed. So I'm going to turn the mix down just so you can hear it. I just turned the mix back up. And that sounds kind of weird. Kind of sounds like a chipmunk, right? Or you can turn it all the way down. But the cool part about it is now you can kind of mix in the original vocal, and it gives it a cool look. Or you can turn the pitch all the way. And then you can even mess around with the format. I really like that a lot. I might want to add the EQ afterwards. All right. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like this for now. All right, so now I have that. Now the next thing you're going to do is you all are going to add your own chord progression. So if you play piano, you can add whatever chords you want. It's in the key of C, so you're just going to play chords in the key of C. But if you do not play piano or you don't want to play piano, that's fine too. Remember, we have our little chords function. So we can add different types of chords, but make sure you find the sound that you want first. So I think I want a synthesizer, like maybe a pad synth, something like that. So I got the Atlantic FM. So the first chord I'm going to add is, I think I'm going to do C. And then F. Let me make sure it's. Yep. It's the tempo I want it. On 1. Let me make sure. All right. Let me see what the difference is between these two. I'm not really sure. I like that better. So the full chord actually plays like with the bass and all that, but I'm going to play a bass later. So I don't want the full chord. So if you do want the full chord, that's fine. I'm just going to do the on one preset. So we got C, and then the next chord I want is the 4 chord, which is F. And then the next chord I'm going to add is A minor, and then G, and then A minor again. And then I'll do F, D minor, and G. So when I do that, it is. All right, so you have that. Now I do want to challenge you to actually, even if you don't play piano, I would love for you to try to play a bass line to this. So whatever your chord progression is, actually play the bass line to the chord progression. So what that would look like is first finding a bass. That's fine. I'll just do. All right, let's try to find something. All right, I'll just do the apples. I always seem to stick with that one. It's all good. All right, so here we go. So remember, my chord progression was C, F, A, G, and then it went A, F, D, G. So let's see what we can do here. A minor, F, D minor, then G. All right, so cool. And then of course, the last thing I would like for you to do, remember guys, I know this seems a little long, but we're building on what we've done this entire time. So I'm having you do multiple things in one project now. So it's going to take you a little bit longer than it normally, or than it has in the past. The last thing you're going to do is you are going to add drums. Now, here are my rules from here on out. Unless I say otherwise, no more loops. We're not using loops, okay? So you're either using the pattern function or you're actually performing on the keyboard. So you can use the patterns, but no more loops because loops are too easy. And that was just an introduction into Soundtrap. But at this point, you're only using those two options, right? And we're not using the pre-made patterns either, right? We're not doing the auto generating of the sound. So pressing that button and then just letting it do whatever. I'll be able to tell whether you did that or not. And if you do that, I'll take points off. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's find a drum set that we like. There's one that I always use and then I always forget where it is. Is it? That's not it. That's not it. Nope, none of these are it. Oh well, I'll just have to. This is fine. I'll just use this one. All right. So let's see what I can come up with on the drums. So that's a good starting point. So a lot of times when I'm doing drums, I like to do just bass and snare, and then I'll add everything else afterwards. So let's start with that. All right, so then I can add some other things. Remember, after this, we're going to quantize, but I'm not going to do that right now. Hi-hats next. So we got that recorded. Let's see what other sample. Oops. There we go. So we got some toms. So I may want to stack that clap with the snare drum. Definitely want to add some. I don't know where, but we'll figure it out. This is what improvisation is all about. That's not perfect, but I think you all get the point. So we're going to quantize. I'll do, 1/16 should be fine. So let's see what we have here. So that's basically what you are doing. The last thing I'll do for my people who actually who do play piano pretty fluently, if you don't want to use that chords function, you can actually perform it. And I'm actually going to just record it just to give it a little bit more feeling. So so I'm going to record that part really quick, and after that we'll be done. So here we go. All right, so that's what we got. I'll probably turn that up a little bit. Final product, here we go. around with some of this stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll be around if you have any questions. And like I always say, just have fun. And yeah, it'll be fun. So here we go.